As a product manager, every day is fundamentally the same but practically different. Yes, I know that there are certain expectations of a product manager. I need you to understand that there are elements and factors that influence the work you do and how you do them. Things like specialization, industry, career level, the stage of the product, where it is in the product development lifecycle, and so on. Whether you're already a product manager or you're considering becoming one, today's video is focused on equipping you with knowledge and insight into the day-to-day of a product manager. If you're ready for this, let's dive right in. What do product managers really do? This is one question that is frequently asked, especially amongst aspiring product managers. As a product manager, you're often described as one who wears many hats, and this is because you have to juggle a lot of responsibilities. One moment, you might be working on product strategy, and the next minute, you're deep into details with your engineering team, trying to solve a technical problem. You're the person who is constantly keeping the balance between customer needs, business goals, and technical constraints. Sounds busy, right? That's because it is. And if I'm being honest, that's what makes the role very exciting. What do product managers really do? Let's look at it from the lens of your career, where you are at your career. As a PM, your roles and your responsibilities will change based on where you are in your career. So for example, as a junior product manager just starting out, your role most likely will be focused solely on execution and less strategy. Your main focus is basically learning how to manage the details of the product. So like from working cross-functionally with your team to writing product specification requirements and user stories, and just working closely with a senior PM to develop, either a senior PM or someone more senior to develop your skill set as a junior PM. Again, it is more execution, more granular, more detailed, and less strategy and visionary. For mid-level PMs, as you grow in your role, you take on more responsibility. Here you try to balance between strategy and execution with a strong focus on leadership. You most likely find yourself involved in a lot of strategic decisions, and you'll be faced with figuring out how to prioritize features, manage trade-offs within the team, at the same time fully owning your roadmap. You're still heavily involved in the day-to-day, but now you're starting to think more long-term. When you hit the senior product manager level, your day-to-day shifts significantly towards more strategy and long-term planning. You'll most likely find yourself in closer and constant communications with leadership and executives, managing multiple projects and portfolios, managing teams, and being involved in decisions that impact business needs greatly. So depending on where you are in your career, your focus can shift from doing the work, being very granular in the day-to-day activity, to actually leading the vision of your product. Another big factor that influences your day-to-day as a product manager is the stage of your product in the product development lifecycle. I always share this with my mentees, and I say that depending on where your product is, depending on the stage it is within, or in the product life cycle, so be it ideation, be it design, be it development, be it go to market, be it launch, iteration, things like that, your responsibilities as a PM will change. And it doesn't just it's kind of like a loop. It's not really in sequence, so it's very flexible. So for example, let's say you are the ideation stage or discovery stage, right? As a product manager, the kind of work you would do, the kind of task you would do in your day-to-day, alongside the people you will be working with or working more closely with, will change. What do I mean by that? In the ideation stage, for example, you most likely work more closely, or in this discovery stage, more closely with your product designers. If you're in a company that has user researchers, even down to your data analyst as well, even marketing, depending on your focus area. And I'm going to touch on that in a minute, but you'll be more focused on research, right? So from desk research to user research, jumping on interviews, pushing out surveys, analyzing the response. That will be like a huge part of your work. And then let's say you're in the requirement gathering design stage, you do more, very productive artifact, all those things like requirement gathering, working on PRDs, working on product strategy docs, if need be, working with your engineers closely to do high level refinements to understand the effort of the initiatives that are currently in discovery or currently in requirements gathering, right? Then at the development stage, you most likely work closely with the engineers. Now, it depends if you're in a startup or in a corporate environment. Like I am in a corporate environment, so I do have engineers, but I also have an engineering manager. So working closely with them, ensuring that whatever it is you want to work on is feasible, right? And also it's not just feasible in terms of development, but also feasible for you to be able to deliver it within the timeline. So that is also important. Then in the go-to-market stage, you most likely work with CRM, marketing, legal to ensure that, so with marketing, to ensure that they have all they need from marketing asset down to the messaging and the channels, then even with legal to ensure that whatever it is that we are putting out there is legally compliant. So your days are not exactly the same, right? There are seasons where you're more focused on development. So let's say you're a 0 to 1 p.m. and I'm going to talk about specialization in a bit. Let's say you're a 0 to 1 p.m. You're actively involved after discovery, involved in development. And, when it's time for launch, you're very actively involved in, launch strategies. But if you're a growth PM like myself that runs experiments here and there, it's kind of different as well. And I will talk more on that in a bit. I need you to understand that your day to day as a product manager is constantly evolving, and where your product is in its journey has a great impact on your priorities day in, day out. Next on my list, company size. Now, let's start with startups. If you're working in a startups are pretty fast paced, so you most likely have to juggle a lot. You see, when we say product managers, we wear many hats. I feel like those that work in startup is the real definition of many hats, because for a startup, you will most likely not have a lot of resources at your disposal, even expertise as well. So you most likely find yourself doing the work of a product manager. And so this is not even about collaborating with the marketing team, to work on go-to-market strategy. You're literally the marketing team. And if you're one that has, I have like design experience, you might be the designer and a whole lot. So you'll be really involved in a lot of things on a put your hand to work level. So it might be way more overwhelming compared to a product manager that works in a corporate environment or a mid-sized organization, because a lot of things to an extent tend to be more structured compared to a startup environment. So I'll give you a practical example. In a startup environment, like I said already, let's say you're in the discovery phase, you'll most likely be the one to do everything from user research to desk research to analytics, product analytics. So like working with tools like Amplitude, or I'm trying to remember the other ones, but I use Amplitude where I work. So you're the one doing everything. You don't have anyone to in a way delegate the task to, but in a mid-sized organization to a bigger corporate environment or bigger organization, you most likely have like a user researcher. Like when I was working in Spotify, we had an insight team that had a user researcher and a data analyst. So there are some things that you most likely be able to delegate to them to help you gather while you focus on some other things, right? So you see how that would differ on stress levels, activity level and things like that. So it's very important that you take note of this as well. Last but not the least, I want to talk about industry and specialization. You need to understand that not all PMs are the same. What we do, how we do them, the people we interact with sometimes will be dependent on the industry we find ourselves or the specialization or the specialization. So let's start with industry. A PM in, a fintech industry, their day-to-day will most likely be different from a product manager in the health tech industry, down to the processes, down to the information that they they're meant to be aware of. So I mean, for someone like in fintech, working as a product manager in fintech, the kind of processes, processes in terms of be it being legally compliant or just being on top of information on the macro level. So let's say, for example, CBN changes a law, you need to be on top of that, but someone in health tech might not bother much about that. Same thing with SaaS, right? Looking into like business models, things like that. So not all PMs are the same, and even down to specialization, we have different types of product managers, and I'm going to do a video to really walk you through these things in details. But just for the sake of today's video, I need you to understand that your specialization has, a great impact on your day-to-day. Take it from me, because I've had my fair share of 0 to 1 B2B, and I'm currently a growth product manager focused on retention, right? So the kind of tools I use, the kind of people I work with closely change, right? The kind of tools I use, the kind of people I work with closely will be different from someone that, works on a 0 to 1 product, will be different from a platform PM. So just to give you like a list of the different types of PMs, and I don't think this is an exhaustive list, feel free to do more research. You have a technical PM, you have a UX product manager, you have a growth product manager, you have platform PMs, right? You have AI. I mean, today they're actually, if you go on LinkedIn and search for AI product manager, you'll see that you have data product managers as well. You have, I think we have cloud product managers. So different specialization, different processes, different stakeholders, not entirely different stakeholders. I mean, fundamentally, you will work depending on what you're doing. I mean, I've had days where I didn't have to communicate with the marketing team, because I mean, as a growth product manager, my focus, I'm currently running experiments, so it doesn't really require like a big launch or things like that. So I would most likely not have much to do with the marketing team, except as a growth PM, I am focused on acquisition. So not from a launch perspective, but more like a strategy experiment perspective. I would need to work with the marketing team to just understand, our traffic, where it's coming from, how to drive more traffic, things like that. So let me know if you want me to like do a series breaking down, the different roles and responsibilities of this individual PM types, and I would do that. Just let me know in the comment section. So there you have it, a glimpse into the day-to-day of a product manager. While no 2 days are the same, there are some key patterns that emerge based on where you are in your career, the industry, the specialization, the stage of the product in the product development lifecycle. If you're thinking of going into product management, I hope this video helped and it gave you some useful insights. If you're a product manager already, let me know in the comment section, what does a typical day look like for you? Don't forget to click the like button, subscribe, and yes, I just realized I've not said this in my videos. Please click on the notification bell so that YouTube will inform you, or you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video. All right, till next time, bye.